Hello, welcome to Refresh with Kellyanne, where we refresh the mind, body, and spirit using our movement and breath. This is the beginning of my Yin Yoga series. I'm very excited to share this practice with you. It has actually changed my life. So what is Yin Yoga? Yin Yoga is a practice commonly found in yoga studios. It's interesting because the practice originates from Taoist practices from China, from Yin Yang Yoga. And then these practices developed and evolved, and different anatomists and teachers added things on until it became what it is today, these different types of slow, floor-based practices that we do in many yoga studios. Sometimes you'll find them in fitness centers, sometimes you'll find them in wellness centers or places where meditation or breath work is practiced. So Yin is an extremely powerful and beneficial practice. You can learn how to adapt it to your own body, and it can have incredible benefits. So it came from the East. It is commonly practiced in yoga studios in the West, and it can help us understand our thought processes. It can help us become more in tune with our breath, and therefore make breathing exercises and breathing practices more accessible. It will help with mindfulness, and then physically it's going to help with the white tissues, connective tissues of the body, if we think of the fascia, the tendons, the ligaments, and then also actually how the bones interact through those structures. So it's like it can get pretty involved when we think of it anatomically, but we can read about that in a different situation. Right now, what is Yin? So it's a set of floor-based practices. There's just over 20 poses. I guess technically you could count some modifications as more poses. There's one pose that is standing. It's a standing forward fold. I personally don't commonly teach that. It depends on the class, and it depends on the goals of the class or the student. This is a very simple practice. What we do is we get into a pose. I encourage my students to go to the maximum range and then to come away from the maximum range until they are at the Goldilocks place where it's just right, like Goldilocks is oatmeal. And so once you find the Goldilocks, then you breathe. You breathe slow and you breathe steady. And a lot of these practices, when we teach as teachers, we find ways to help students access a deeper state of relaxation through focusing on their breath and being silent, non-reactive observers of their thoughts. So we hold the pose. We hold the pose for 3 to 5 minutes. When you're in a class, when I'm teaching, I help guide you with my voice or using some sort of sound. Sometimes we use different types of meditative sounds or music to help the student just sort of dive in a little bit deeper. After we hold the posture, we slowly move into a rebound or rest pose. Now that pose is going to look different depending on the pose that we practice. Typically the rebound is held for 1 minute. Sometimes if it was very intense, the pose that we did, if it went deep, or if it was a two-side, like when sometimes I will do a twist and I'll do both sides and then the rebound. So sometimes the rebound will be longer than a minute, and for me it'll be more like 1.5 minutes to 2 minutes when I teach beginners classes. It just depends what we're doing. So we do the pose 3 to 5 minutes depending on the posture for beginners. Then we do a rebound 1 to 2 minutes depending on the posture we practiced and the student. And then we do an active pose where we move the body and encourage all the tissues and the structures to readjust in the body just through our movement. So that's the basic premise of the practice. Today I'm going to go through 5 poses that are very accessible for beginner students. I'm wondering if there's anything that I've missed on what is Yin Yoga. I think that is a good understanding of what it is. Maybe I should just describe briefly what a practice looks like. A practice looks like, well, we typically structure them 1 hour to 90 minutes in yoga studios. I would say for me a typical practice is anywhere from 20 minutes to 2 hours. It just depends on what time I have available, how I'm feeling, what's appropriate for me, what I really need that day. Sometimes if I'm in a rush or if it's just at night and I only have 20 minutes, I'll pick 2 poses and I'll do that whole thing and I'll use up my 20 minutes. Sometimes I have 2 hours and I'll go through this in-depth practice. There's no real right or wrong way to do it. I encourage you to be your own teacher, to take information from different teachers, to learn a little bit more about yourself, what you might have going on, perhaps visiting professionals, or if you already know sort of if you have anything going on with your spine or any other things that you learn how to modify and make the practice work for you. So the next video in the series is going to be a little bit about props, and then I'll go through the 5 poses. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like, share, subscribe, and watch the rest of my Yin series. Thank you so much. Have a great day.